I took a quick trip to Iceland for a few days. Honestly, the only thing I knew about Iceland was that there's probably a lot of ice, and that it was a home to that scary, creepy, slimy Icelandic team that Coach Bombay and Team USA defeated in D2 Mighty Ducks. But that all changed when the country became more accessible due to dirt cheap flights and social media. I think anyone with a computer or phone at one point or another has Googled Iceland and saw the sheer beauty the country had to offer, which is why I had to see it for myself. So before we get into Iceland, our first stop was actually in London, and the reason for this was because the flights from LA to Iceland had weird layovers or landing times, so we thought it would be in our best interest to have a pit stop in London. I have very few rules in life, and one of them is this: if a bar or pub has their own Wikipedia page, it's definitely a place I want to visit. And this place where we visited had its own page. It's called Ye Old Cheshire Cheese. This place was by no means modern or bustling with beer taps, but there was something about visiting a place that's existed for hundreds of years and housed some of the great literary greats of our time. Doyle, Twain, Dickens, Chesterton all got their drinks here, so I wanted to do the same. By the way, as a Hefeweizen fan, I was thrilled to try the Samuel Smith Hef. Look at it. It's beautiful. After that was being real tourist at 221 Baker Street, which is the home of the fictional Sherlock Holmes. And after that, we just spent the rest of the night in Soho, just enjoyed a few more bars and pubs, a few lounges, and chopped it up with some randoms. Before our flight to London to Iceland, we got to stop by the London Gatwick Lounge because we were card holders of the Chase Sapphire Reserve. This place had a pancake maker, free beer on draft, a PS4, and many other goodies. Shout out to my boy Ryan Pabalona for urging me to sign up for this card. We land in West Iceland and our hotel is located in Southeast Iceland. The drive from each destination is around 5 hours, but the drive didn't really feel that long. Along the way was Seljalandsfoss, and I'm 100% sure I pronounced that correctly. What I love best about this particular waterfall is the fact you can go directly behind it, meaning you can get views from all angles of the waterfall. As cool as this fall was, however, the waterfalls we saw after were much better. I'll get to those later. The next morning we were supposed to have an ice cave tour near Jokusarlan, but it had flooded earlier in the week, so they canceled that portion and took us to an ice cave near Skeftifell National Park. Now this park was freaking awesome. We only saw a small percentage of it, but it could be something to revisit in the future. Kind of reminded me of Joshua Tree in a sense, but with a ton of ice. The ice cave itself that we visited was very small, and we were very fortunate to be one of the first groups in the morning to visit, as the parking lots were much more populated as time went on. The ice cave itself is very dark. It's kind of surreal to think about being underneath tons and tons of frozen water. When you flash light on the ice structures, you get the pretty photogenic blue that you see in the brochures. You gotta have perfect lighting for that though. Overall, it was a very neat experience. I was actually more impressed with the glaciers that surround the caves. Those were very scenic. Following the tour was a drive back to where we originally started in Iceland. Along the way, we stopped by Skogafoss and Vik Black Sand Beach. Skogafoss was a really nice waterfall. We found it much better than the first one, which I do not want to pronounce again. As for Vik, it was just meh to me, probably because the beach isn't really anything new to me, and Vik was pretty much a beach that I've always known, except the sand was black. I don't know, I just wasn't really blown away like the other sites from before. Oh yeah, another thing I want to know in the drive back, for about 5 hours it was nothing but fields, snow-capped mountains, and plenty of horses. I don't know how many of y'all watching out there own a Nintendo Switch, but it was really like watching 5 hours of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, with all the horses and changes to weather. I'm gonna apologize to the 98% of you who won't get that reference. We finally made it to Kex Hostel in the capital city of Reykjavik. This would be our place for the next 2 nights. Aside from being a place to sleep, it also houses a full bar, a place to listen to music, a nice view outside, a restaurant, and it's a place where you can meet a ton of people. We actually met a guy from Toronto named Shiv, real cool dude who joined us at various stops along the way. Oh yeah, that night we tried to find the Northern Lights. The websites and apps we were using said there was a 20% chance that night for it to show up, which was by far the best odds we had all week. Unfortunately, we didn't have any luck. Still happy we gave it a shot though. To compensate for missing the lights, we decided to hit downtown Reykjavik for drinks. Friday was spent doing the Golden Circle route with Shiv, and the first stop was Geyser, which is a periodically sprouting hot spring. The cool part about this was anticipating when the water would shoot up, and the distance would shoot up would always vary. You can go as high as 70 meters, or other times it can be about half that distance. This was a neat moment to share with other tourists. After Geyser was undoubtedly the best waterfall, Gofoss. I truly cannot describe how beautiful this waterfall was. As someone who is more attracted to the bright city lights, loud music, hot chicken, and craft beer, I momentarily forgot about all those things and was just captivated by the sheer majesty of this waterfall. We spent more time at this waterfall than the other two waterfalls combined, and it was totally worth it. The last stop on the Golden Circle route was the Carrig Crater. Let's just say it didn't look like what it was supposed to look like. That being said, we got some nice views out of that place. After the Golden Circle, we spent the last night experiencing the nightlife we've heard so many good things about. Our night started around 9 p.m. and didn't end till around 5 a.m. There were a variety of places to check out. I think we went to at least 5 or 6 places. These places range from a chill bar, hip-hop, house music, classic rock, and a bunch of other stuff. I just wanted to say that it was awesome being a tourist at these places. A handful of locals were very interested to talk to us, and we were just happy to converse with them and share a beer or two. The last activity was something all tourists do, the Blue Lagoon. Even though it's a haven for all tourists, it's still encouraged that you go. I was kind of dreading the large amount of tourists that would be here, but let's just say it is definitely a must visit. My old camera can't really capture the beauty, but unleash all the superlatives of this place. When I exited the building to enter the lagoon, I was just blown away by the color of the waters. I ran inside the water right away because A, it was so pretty, and B, if I stayed outside, I would freeze as it was super cold. This is definitely a place I would like to visit again. And that's a wrap on the quick Iceland trip. What did I think? I'm not quite sure how to answer that. I think the best way to describe Iceland is that, well, it's kind of weird, and I mean that in the best way possible. Iceland's a place where you can feel like you're in a big city, and yet 5 minutes later, you can feel disconnected from the world. When you drive for hours and hours, you'll see these deserted, archaic-looking homes and hotels, yet most of these places are equipped with fiber internet and Apple Pay. In fact, you can be in the middle of nowhere in Iceland and still have full reception on your phone. There are a ton of places where volcanic ash mixed with ice. In fact, a lot of the hot springs are surrounded by tons of ice. Something that was also interesting was that at any given moment, you can stand in a spot and feel 30-mile-per-hour winds and pouring rain, and then no wind and then sunshine within seconds. You can visit any place and everything in writing will have their native Icelandic language, yet all the workers and patrons all speak 100% fluent English. It really is a place full of beautiful contrasts, Earth's oxymoron, if you will. Overall, I had a fantastic time and would encourage anyone to visit this place if they get a chance. As always, thanks for your time.